Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today, I didn't even expect to film a video today because I've just been so burnt out. It's only Wednesday and it's already been a long week. And so I figured I would film a pretty low stakes video because I just kind of want to go easy on myself. But the other reason for this is because a lot of people have been asking me, what is the deal with Trail of Flames? So if you guys are new to this channel, my name's Marlow York. I'm a self-published author. And this is a really weird video for you to click on as my first video, so where did you come from? So in 2018, I self-published my debut novel, which is Blood of Fire, and ever since then, I have been working diligently on the sequel, which is called Trail of Flames. And a lot of people who have read Blood of Fire and loved it have been asking, when are you going to publish Trail of Flames? And I still don't know, and that's the only answer I can tell people is I don't know. If I was better at the whole professional authoring thing, and if I was a full-time author, I would probably have a much better drawn-out schedule of when I should be doing each component of the publishing process. But since writing is not my full-time job, I pretty much have to do things when I have time. So this is mostly to give fans an update as to what I've been working on and where I am in the process. As of right now, I'm in the middle. Well, maybe not the middle. Maybe like the later end of edits. Three quarters of the way through edits? Sure, let's say that. Why not? I finished my first draft. I went over it as many times as I could and edited what I could without any feedback. And then I sent it off to my beta readers. And if you guys watched my beta reading video, if not, I'll leave it below in the description or up in the cards if I remember. Future Marlow. Hint, hint. But basically I did everything in my usual beta reader process, i.e. sending it to the beta readers, giving them a deadline for them to hopefully give the feedback back. Alright, we're doing this. And I've gotten the feedback back. Fuck, I don't want to keep saying that. I've received everyone's feedback and I've been working on making changes based on that. So I think I had about 5 beta readers send back feedback. What? Stop saying that! And I've gotten through all but one of the beta readers' feedback. And one of my friends / beta readers went through and made incredible, detailed line edits as she was giving suggestions for the overall content of the story. And it's taken me a really long time to get through that just because it's so in-depth. And I'm not, mad about that at all. It's actually been really helpful because she's been really good at tightening longer sentences into much more manageable ones. So the difficult part with the beta reading stuff, besides having so much information to go over and so many different opinions, I mean, some people's opinions on certain aspects were pretty similar, such as this chapter needs more fleshing out or something, or this character doesn't quite make sense, or I really like this. There are people who agreed on things that they liked and disliked or needed or felt like needed more work, but there are also plenty of things that were very specific to each person. So it's a lot of information to really sort out in your head and decide which feedback you want to actually use, because of course you're not obligated to take any of the feedback. I mean, if you didn't take any, then why the fuck did you even ask for beta readers in the first place? But you do have the right to pick and choose what you think actually works for the story and what makes sense to you as the creator and the one who should know everything about the story. So because I have such a busy schedule, I generally only have a few hours each week to work on writing, and right now I'm trying to use each writing session to get through at least one chapter of my last beta reader's edits. And I feel like it's taking a really, really long time. I think because she did such detailed work, which is great, but it does make it seem like it just takes forever. And also it depends on the length of the chapter, and some chapters are really long and some are kind of short, but it just feels like it's taking a really long time. And so when I have people ask, when is the book being published, and all I can tell them is I don't know, I feel kind of bad, and I feel like maybe I should know, I should have some big plan, or I should have all this stuff sorted out beforehand. I mean, yeah, maybe I should have some sort of very concrete date for when each aspect needs to be done, but I'm a realist, and I'm a workaholic, and I'm a very busy person, so it just hasn't happened. So once I finish with the beta reader edits, I believe I'll go through and compile or go over once again all of their notes and see which things I do want to add or take away or change in some way about the overall manuscript. And again, I don't know how long that will take. And then after I'm done going through all of the edits that I think I can possibly do, I'll probably go through the whole book again and try to polish it as much as I possibly can. But then at that point, I will be sending it off to a more professional line edit. So it's generally recommended that after you do the beta reader process phase of the writing journey, whatever, that you hire a professional developmental editor. Someone who's been working in the industry long enough to have a lot of real life experience, and they know really what they should be looking for and what sort of things should be changed depending on your genre and stuff like that. And that's what I did with Blood of Fire, and it was really good. It was a useful part of the editing process, but unfortunately the editor that I hired was pretty expensive. And of course you can find editors of all types that run the gambit of price ranges, but, as I probably said in previous videos, you get what you pay for. The same goes for cover design. If you buy a cheap cover, there's a really good chance that it's not going to be a very good cover, and the same goes for editing. You really want to invest in a good professional editor. But this time around, I just don't see it in my budget. When I went through the edits with Blood of Fire, I didn't own a house. I didn't have to pay all those utilities and stuff. Well, I was renting a place, but it was much less expensive, and I also wasn't planning a wedding and doing this and that, so it just seems like lately it's just not in the budget to go through developmental editing again. And there is a chance that my story could suffer for that, but at this point I feel like I understand the storyline well enough that I can decide for myself what does and doesn't work. I'm not new to writing. I've been writing for like 20 years practically. I'm definitely not perfect. I'm definitely not the best writer. I'm just saying that I do have the experience to at least figure out what does and doesn't work. However, what I did find out with Blood of Fire is that I really need someone to go through and do line edits. And by that I mean I need someone to go through sentence by sentence to really look at grammar and spelling and stuff like that. And it's not that I'm bad at spelling or grammar, it's that, I know I've mentioned this before too, when you're working on something that you've been looking at for a really, really long time, especially something that's written, your brain tricks you into seeing what you think you're supposed to see. So for instance, you might say, the dog had a long tail. And in your head tail is supposed to be spelled T-A-I-L. However, what you wrote is T-A-L-E, as in a story, tale. But you've read this sentence so many times and you think you know what it's supposed to say, but what you actually wrote is not correct. But you just keep skipping over it again and again and again because your brain just says, okay, that says tail, continue. It's not really a spelling mistake in that case. But of course it is. And I had a lot of that in Blood of Fire, and it's understandable for an indie author to not be able to afford every single type of editing that you could possibly get, or maybe that you should get. And in my case, I really did not have the budget to invest in another round of professional editing. And despite having multiple people look through it, there were a lot of stupid little mistakes like the tail thing, which is an actual example from my book. I used the wrong tail. I mean, it is kind of interesting that so many people looked at it and people didn't notice, or they didn't notice until they had the actual physical book in their hands, which I find is a much easier way to edit. I like having something in print form rather than on a screen, but I also didn't have it in my budget to print the entire manuscript. So that's why I think this time around I would like to hire a line editor. I've already started looking at some people who do those services, and I know it'll still probably be kind of expensive in terms of, being broke as fuck. It should definitely be less expensive than developmental editing. I have a hard time saying that. But I think it'll be worth it. I don't necessarily need tons of people telling me about what I should change with the overall plot or the characters unless I specifically ask them, which I did with my beta readers. I don't think the overall story will be that damaged, hopefully, because I do feel like I know what I'm doing when it comes to the overall storyline, and I've gotten some really good feedback, so we'll see how I feel about it once I get all the feedback compiled and actually make the edits that I want to make. And I feel like it'll be much more beneficial to go through line edits because I just don't want to have all of those embarrassing mistakes again. And it really was embarrassing. to know that probably the majority of my books sold within the first, I don't know, couple weeks or maybe month or so after it had been published. There's construction going on all around, so if you guys hear like rumbling or people talking in the background, it's construction. Like I was saying, it was really embarrassing that the majority of the sales that I had, probably during the first month or so, were books that had stupid mistakes in them. And I don't think that people think I'm stupid and don't know the difference between tail and tail, or I would write A when I really meant an, but it still just seemed very unprofessional, and I'd like to not make those mistakes again. So right now the plan is to finish the beta edits, go through and put in any more like, what's the word, like big edits, as in like changes to the plot or changes to characters and stuff like that. And then I'll probably go through the whole thing again once I've made those changes, maybe get someone else's feedback to see what they think about those improvements, sort of like a non-professional developmental edit, if that makes sense. And then after that, I plan to look for a line editor, and then hopefully it'll be ready for publication. And my goal is to have it published before the end of 2019. Like, that is my goal. Ideally, in a perfect world, I would have liked to publish Trail of Flames within a year of the first book, so like January 2019. But it's not a perfect world. And like I said, I've not had a lot of time to devote to writing alone. But I think it does make sense to try to publish it by the end of 2019, and as long as I stay as diligent as I have been about the days and the times that I write, then I think I should be able to meet that goal. Knock on wood. Fingers crossed. Whatever sort of superstition you can do for that sort of thing. So aside from working on edits, I also have the cover for Trail of Flames design. I did go back to the same cover designer who did Blood of Fire. And that's what the cover looked like. There's the back. I don't usually show that. And he did a really good job. And I'm not going to reveal that just yet because I feel like I should wait until we're closer to publication, not when I'm still in the beta reader edits, to reveal the cover, but I'm pretty happy with it. The cover designer for this he goes by J. Caleb at J. Caleb Design, but you can also find him as J. Clark on Reedsy, which is where I found my cover designer and my original editor. I feel like maybe I should have talked about what Trail of Flames is actually about, like at the beginning of this story, video, whatever. And I'll try to be as non-spoilery as possible, but basically Trail of Flames is a continuation of where the story leads off at the end of Blood of Fire. The overall arc, I guess you could say, of Trail of Flames is that Valyrie is now striking on her own, with Sovereign, of course, and they want to find people who also have elemental powers, or ancient blood, as I call it in the story, and to potentially create an army that can fight the city, who has been ruling over them and tormenting them for as long as everyone can remember. So this is definitely more of a journey story. And throughout the journey, we meet different clans that can control other types of elements, and we really get a better sense of the overall world. Blood of Fire pretty much took place in 2 villages, the Fierro village, which was of course destroyed, and then the Grakir village, which is not too different from the Fierro village, and they both take place kind of in like the same sort of setting, I think that's what I mean, which is of course based on the Adirondacks, which is where I'm from. But in Trail of Flames, we learned that a lot of the other clans live in environments that are a bit different. So for instance, there's a location that I based on the Borneo rainforest, Borneo, Malaysia rainforest, I think that's how you say it. So it's more of a jungle sort of atmosphere rather than a northeastern United States forest, if that makes sense. We also find an underground city. We also discover a sort of coastal village and an island village, and that's all I'm really going to say about specifics about the kind of people. I mean, you can sort of guess what powers the people might have based on the environment that they live in, but I don't want to get too deep into it because I just think it'd be more fun to wait until you guys can actually read it and figure it out for yourselves rather than be told every single thing about it. Earlier I said that I feel like my progress is very slow right now. And I think I still feel like that, but the one thing that you should keep in mind if you, a viewer, are also feeling like you're taking too much time with your writing or that you should be progressing further, or that maybe you should be at the same caliber as someone else, some other writer. I think it's important to remember that we all have different life circumstances. We all work at different paces. We all have different amounts of time to devote to our writing, especially if it's not your full-time job, which I think for a lot of people who watch my channel, writing is not your full-time job, so you can kind of relate to that. So I always try to remind myself that even though ideally I would like to be done with the whole project and have it published already, as long as I'm making consistent progress and setting small goals and reaching those goals, that I'm still making progress and I'm still on the right track, and I shouldn't feel ashamed that I'm not somehow better or more progressed or have done something differently when I'm doing the best that I can. So I guess that's all I have for you guys today. Like I said, I wanted this to be more of a low-key, chatty, sort of informational video, I guess, about where my current work is. It's still in the editing phase. I feel like it's taking a long time, but I'm still making progress, and that's the important part. It's coming along nicely. I'm pretty happy with how it is going so far, like how the overall story looks. I love the cover, so that's another good thing. And unfortunately, I don't have a release date for you yet. I wish I did. But I will tell you that I'm still working hard on it every day, and it is kind of nice that I stopped blogging because now I can use my Sundays for writing, so I have at least 3 days a week that I can devote to writing instead of just 2. And I'm going to keep working on it as much as I can, as best I can, when I can, until it's done, and I can hold it in my hands, like this one. Right here. Yes. Still kind of has a new book smell, even though this is not a new book. Alright, that's enough being weird. Alright, so if you guys would like to check out Blood of Fire before you read Trail of Flames, that would be the logical thing to do. I will leave the link below in the description so that you can purchase it in paperback form or on Kindle through Amazon. If you'd like to keep up with my writing endeavors to see how I'm doing, aside from these weekly videos, then I will also leave all of my social media links below in the description. So until next time, see ya! That was a sound check. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I just jumped into character so fast, what the fuck? I'm really tired and I want to sleep. Gotta do a thumbnail, but I don't have anything cute to pose with. So I literally just posed the mug that I didn't actually drink from. Maybe I could be off to the side a little bit. Am I still in frame? Is my mug in frame?